Welcome back to the Detroit Tigers franchise on MLB the Show 20. I'm your host, longtime listener. Be sure to drop a like and hit the subscribe button. Comment below where necessary. We have off-season action in this episode. And so I didn't do a ton of editing because basically I just kind of wanted to walk you through the off-season process for the most part. And while I'm doing that, I can sort of explain some of my logic for decisions as they unfold. But anyway, you see here on the landing screen for the offseason, we've got some exclusive free agents that we can do some negotiations with. The two big ones are Brantley and Marwin Gonzalez. We need to sign new base coaches, and I've already made offers to two of the better ones that are available. So hopefully we will get them signed. And then you see here again, the two big free agents are Brantley and Gonzalez. Then Castro and Robbie Erlin, I really don't plan on bringing back because of their age and ability. However, with Brantley, he's still playing pretty well for us, honestly. But he's not a guy that I'm going to use against lefties. And he's had pretty good years back to back, but I don't know how much longer that's going to continue. 35 seems to be the age in this game where it's going to be a drop off from then on. And that's in real life in general. So honestly, if I bring him back, I might get one more good season out of him. But I think what we might do is make him an offer as a platoon guy for less than he's really interested in for the most part. If he takes it, so be it. If not, we will be looking for a big name free agent in the market that we can bring back instead. Now, Marwin Gonzalez is another interesting guy because he's 34 years old, and he also had a pretty good year for us, and really 2 good years in a row. And he's, a really good shortstop. But Nico Goodrum had a really good year. We've got Royce Lewis in the farm system that's pretty much major league ready. And so what I'm thinking is we'll pretty much do the same thing with Gonzalez that we did with Brantley. We're going to make him an offer as a platoon guy, and if he takes it, great. If not, it's not that big of a deal. And then we're just going to outright release Jason Castro and Robbie Erlin because I don't really have a use for them other than minor league roles. So what I want to do is sort by age and then look at guys that are not under contract at this point. And if they're old and I don't plan on re-signing them, I'm just going to cut them. And Elvis Vizcaino is top of the list. He's had some major injury troubles for us. And we've got enough at middle infield and even at third base that he can also play that it just doesn't make much sense to bring him back. Grayson Griner can go. Who else? Frank Schwindel's an aging first baseman that's never going to have a role for us. Yariel Gonzalez, we'll keep. We signed him as a free agent last year. We'll see if we can re-sign him, although he's getting up there in age and don't have a ton of use for him, but not a big deal to keep him around. Travis Demeritte can go. He's never going to develop into major league talent. Gregory Soto, remember he was on our roster the first season, and now he's gone. And we're getting down the list here to where age is not too much of a concern, but I'm kind of looking at guys that have had major league experience, so they're going to demand more money than they're really worth. And then guys also that are just really low potential for the most part that I just know I'm not going to have any kind of role for. So that's the strategy in terms of opening up some roster spots. There goes one more. And what do we have there? 84 roster spots taken out of 90, which is not a bad place to be going into the free agency portion of the offseason. Because really at the major league level, we are in pretty darn good shape. Even if Brantley and Gonzalez don't come back, I still like our roster going into next season. Because if Gonzalez leaves, now we can put Sheldon Noisy at second, Goodrum at short. Bodie at third, and all of those guys are getting tons of playing time. Also, we've got Royce Lewis, that's pretty much major league ready and will probably come up at some point next season. You've got Harold Castro that continues to be a utility guy that we use a lot. And so, and even in the outfield, we've got Delevsky in center that is going to play every day. Kristen Stewart played really well for us. Lawrence Walker is an option, and then like I said, we're probably going to go and look for a major free agent outfielder and see what we got. And actually, you saw there, Gonzalez is no longer on the exclusive free agent list because he re-signed. So he's not going to like his contract, so that might impact his morale when things get going. But it's not a big deal. If he's just, decent, he's a good glove at short. Like I said, we're not going to use him a ton, I don't think. I forgot about Avalos at second, because he's basically, skill set wise, he's major league ready. He didn't play very well last season, so I want him to start in the minors again next year and perform so that we can justify calling him up. Anyway, let's look at our pitchers. We've got three that are really good at the top, and even Skubal was pretty good last year. And then we've got Norris and Chang that, again, are probably going to be stuck doing long relief because I want Manning in the starting rotation. I wish he would have developed more because he's only a 75, and we've really given him a shot, but he just hasn't, progressed much. So we'll keep an eye on that. Our bullpen is also pretty good. And then, at closer, we've got a bunch of guys that are major league caliber arms that we can use as relievers if we need to instead of just closers, because Hicks is going to be the closer. Catcher, we're good. We're good at first base with Burt Kohler. Second base, we don't really have a major league option, but Goodrum can play second. Noisy can play second. Bodie can play second. Castro as well. So, and then Isaac Paredes is still just 23 and a B potential, so he's going to probably be major league ready before long. We're loaded at short, so I can't really bring anybody in there. And then in the outfield, we've got Santana in the heart of our lineup. And, I mean, look at the depth we have at left field alone, y'all. That is insane. Kaiser is close to he is major league ready. I just don't really have a spot for him. And he's only 21, so it doesn't hurt us if we leave him in AAA for another year or so, but pretty soon he's going to have to get his chance. And it might be like whenever Santana's up for contract, we let him walk and then call up Kaiser. Now in right field, Jankowski, I do not want him in the major league, on the major league roster, to be honest. I want to go get a stud power bat at right field that can give us a boost there. And holy crap, there's a couple there. Now, Joey Gallo immediately signs. I wouldn't have wanted him anyway, but Aaron Judge was on that list. Joey Gallo's going to the Red Sox. Aaron Judge is, I think, the guy that we're going to try and make a run at. He's a 94 overall. A lot of that is defense. But we're going to give it a day or so and see what happens. There's Sean Manaea going to the Braves. He's still... Oh, we already made him an offer. I just did it off camera. So we made him an offer for 5 years. And I can't remember how much. Maybe like $150 million. It was a bunch. Jameson Taillon going to the Twins. So Barrios left the Twins, and then they got Taillon instead, which I am not excited about because I would rather hit off Barrios. And look, we have signed Aaron Judge. So that is the big splash that we were looking to make. Now, he hasn't put up the kind of numbers since that first year where he hit like 52 bombs, but the dude is a Gold Glove caliber right fielder and another really good bat to put in the middle of this lineup, and that means that Walker and Stewart are now kind of going to have to do some time splitting in the outfield because Domingo Santana will be our DH. I don't really see any other guys that I'm dying to have in free agency because we really just don't need that much, to be honest. I could go and get like a stud second baseman or even somebody. If I went and got Trey Turner and put Goodrum at second, Holy crap, would be awesome. But I'm not going to do that. Seth Lugo. There's Dylan Betances going to the Braves. Just some notable signings. Ben Attendee to the Cubs. He only hit 264 last year. And there's Trey Turner going to the Dodgers. So the Dodgers are going to win the National League West again. Mike Clevenger going to the Rays, so at least he's leaving our division, but he is staying in the American League. But look at the Dodgers, y'all. They are freaking loaded. Their number 5 starter is Corey Kluber. Oh, my goodness. They've got tons of arms in the bullpen. Ken Giles is their closer. Some good catchers. Max Muncy at first. Remember, he was like Silver Slugger a couple of years ago. VR at short and a couple other studs in the minor league system. They're a little thin at third. But it's Turner and Corey Seager and another young stud at short. Holy smoke. And that guy was the NL MVP last year. Now, they only really in the outfield have Bellinger. That's a stud, but so they are a little bit thin in the outfield, but holy crap, they are just loaded. Jose Ramirez going to the White Sox, so he's going to stay in the division. Joe Musgrove going to the Red Sox. I believe he was with the Pirates up to this point. So let's take a look now at... okay, so Michael Brantley has accepted an offer from the Nationals. And that's actually probably a good thing because I don't know what we would have done with all those outfield options if he would have signed. So our roster is pretty much complete at this point, to be honest. I mean, I think we have a bunch of guys that are up for arbitration, but I don't really think there's a whole lot else noteworthy in terms of wheeling and dealing that we do in this offseason. But again, I feel like going into this next year, we're going to have a pretty good rotation with Balazovic, Casey Mize, and Matthew Boyd at the top of the rotation. Tarek Skubal is pretty good. And then the next 3 guys that we have are all starter quality. I will probably give the nod to Matt Manning unless he is just god-awful in spring training. We're getting a trade offer here, but there's no way we're giving up Jordan Hicks. I mean, we'll look at it just to make sure, but yeah, that's not going to happen. And then, okay, the Rule 5 draft. I don't think we lose anybody in this that I can remember. Oh, Travis Demeritte got picked up by the Orioles. Not a big deal. We let him go anyway, so... somebody may have signed him as a free agent but not put him on the 40-man, and then he got taken by the Rule 5 draft. So, again, we do have some guys that are up for arbitration, and we will let those go to arbitration because they're mostly, players that we don't necessarily want to re-sign long-term, at least not yet. Jock Peterson going to the A's in exchange for Franklin Barreto and Chris Shaw. Not exactly a blockbuster trade, but interesting nonetheless. And now we're getting a trade offer from the Giants. And while Terang is an interesting prospect, we're loaded at short. So it just doesn't make sense. If he was like raking, it would be one thing, but he's more of a defensive shortstop, and I don't have a whole lot of interest there. So now we are in the stretch where there's nothing going on pretty much until arbitration. So here we go. Spencer Turnbull, Travis Jankowski, Balazovic. They sided with him, so he's making $7 million next year. That's good for him. There's Xiaoqing Chang and Jake Rogers, and finally Harold Castro. I think that's it. Yeah. So, all right, that is it for the contract renewals and such. Let's look at the roster and make sure everybody is re-signed with a contract. And they are, and we've got 87 people on the roster, so we do have a couple extra spots. There's Vizcaino. Still no offers in free agency. You know what, Elvis? We will give you a 1-year deal um, as a depth option, but we're not going to give you much because we don't care if you're happy. You can take it or leave it, bud. You've been an injury-prone mess since we've tried to give you a couple of shots. So if we don't get you, it's not a big deal. We don't really need you. And frankly, if he does sign, that kind of makes me have an interesting decision to make. Look, Charlie Morton is starting to fall off. 39 years old. He'll probably sit in free agency all year and then retire at the end of the season. So there's Carlos Santana. He's really fallen off the map too as far as his bat. He would have been interesting if he could still hit, but he just can't really anymore. Yeah, I think that will do it in terms of offers on the free agent. Actually, yeah, no. That guy was interesting, but we don't need any other guys, to be honest. We'll just move along here, and then I think I simmed through free agency here, or through spring training, if I remember correctly. But first, let's take a look at. Come on, let's take a look at the rosters. Are we gonna do that? Yeah. So there's Jordan Hicks. What am I trying to figure out here? I don't remember, honestly. So while I'm actually kind of funneling through some of this stuff, I should point out that, okay, so we just ended the last season and we did okay. I really think this move to get Aaron Judge puts us in a position where we can make a legitimate World Series run this upcoming season. However, the series is at that stage where you get a little bit of burnout going. And so what I might do is just reduce the number of games that I play in the upcoming season so that we can keep a little bit more interest. So first we'll look at off-season or our spring training stats here. So we did end up signing Elvis Vizcaino, but he and Paredes are not necessarily going to be on the major league roster. Burt Kohler had a good spring. Jake Rogers did well. Santana, Lugo, David Bodie did well. Lawrence Walker did well. Noisy did well. Judge, 283 home runs and 82 at bats. Kristen Stewart was pretty good. Dulevsky struggled a little bit with the average down at 241. Don't really care about Jankowski. Mr. Singles only hit 250. Nico Goodrum, a rough spring. That's a little bit of a concern because I want him to be the everyday shortstop. Royce Lewis was awful. That's not good. David Grillon was pretty bad, and then so was Gonzalez and Kaiser. So Kaiser only got 6 at bats, so not real concerned there. We're loaded at outfield, y'all. And now for pitchers, we'll take a look at how everybody did. Spencer Turnbull only threw 2 innings, but he did pretty well. We're not really going to use him, if I have to guess. He's going to start the year in minors. Chang did well. Vizcaino, the ERA was inflated. Same with Thomas Watson, a young prospect. Only threw 6 innings, though. Jimenez was pretty good for us. Tim Meza was pretty good. William Blake did well, which is good because he's one of the up-and-coming options in my starting pitching depth. Balazovic was okay. The whip was good. The ERA was just a little bit inflated. And come out here and look, and sure enough, it's home runs allowed that are, an issue for him at the moment. So hopefully he can, avoid that mess this season. And then Scooble was all right. Hicks was pretty good. Russell Choi, a young relief arm. Thomas Hendricks, the same. Boyd struggled, as did Matt Manning, but not to the point where I'll keep him out of the rotation. So anyway, and then Casey Mize was just awful. So that's a little bit of a concern, but he is also going to be in the starting rotation. And then Billingsley really struggled, man. And I want him to do well because he's a lefty arm that I'm kind of relying on this upcoming season. So anyway, as far as this season goes, my plan is to play fewer games in terms of what I record and do a little bit more simming so that we can kind of get through the season quickly and hopefully make a World Series push. But a final look at like the just top to bottom roster here Aaron Judge, the big free agent signing, we are going all in with him, signed him to a 5-year deal, hoping to win a World Series. And then the game did its normal thing where it puts guys on waivers that you don't want to go on waivers. So we've got to figure that out. But that is something that I hope they change in MLB the Show 21, where they give you the option to manually select your major league roster going into the season after spring training instead of just automatically moving guys. So anyway, we'll see if that happens. But like I said, we'll probably play like 15 to 20 games in the upcoming season. You know, a few before the draft, a few leading up to the All-Star break, and then a few down the stretch. Kind of is my thinking. And that'll at least give us enough content to kind of feel like we got to see what was going on throughout the season. And then hopefully we can win the World Series this year. And then what I might do if that happens is just like straight up simulate through a couple more seasons and just kind of see what becomes of the Tigers. But we'll see. You know, I'm not totally done with the series. It's just I am dedicating a little bit more time to some other content. But anyway, we're kind of wrapping up this episode. So the first game of the 2023 campaign will be in the next episode. So be sure to check that out. Let me know if you have any trade moves or things like that you might want to see considered, and we will go from there. But again, be sure to drop a like, hit the subscribe button, comment below, and we will see y'all next time.
Well, I've been waiting on